Welcome back, everybody, to episode 11. How do we get here? Well, Justareyes Media YouTube channel. Now, I know it was How Do We Get Here behind the scenes YouTube channel, but things are shifting, things are changing. They're going to continue to change and evolve as we learn more of what we're doing here. And I know it's become mainly me, which is part of the reason why it's going to Justareyes Media channel. Also because Brandon has some ideas in the works of what he wants to do. We're going to start to blanket a lot of these things underneath the Justareyes Media platform. So through YouTube, you can create your main channel, and then underneath it, create little sub-channels. And I believe that's the path we're going to go, because I do have some ideas for How Do We Get Here podcast as far as the show goes. And this channel is still going to be centered mostly on the How Do We Get Here, if I don't kick the camera too much, focused on the How Do We Get Here podcast and what we're talking about there. Obviously, we're in the middle of an MCU run, as you can see in the title, MCU Part 2. Now, we did a 4-part series for the podcast, episodes 15, 16, 17, and 18. For this one, it's going to be a little bit more than 4. We're going to do these 2 for the first episode, which should get us through Phase 2. And then I'm going to skip episode 16 for now, and we're going to continue the MCU run as far as talking about phases 3 and 4, and then things moving forward. So you're looking at another at least 4 episodes to get us through the entire Infinity Saga, and then we're going to put a bonus episode on the cherry on top at the end of it for both podcast and YouTube, because we haven't done YouTube yet, to talk about all the things that are happening in the MCU. Now, hopefully that leads to right around the time where No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home comes out in December. You have the Eternals out at that point. I've already seen Black Widow. We've seen the What If series. There's been 3 different series, Loki, What If, and WandaVision, and Captain America Winter Soldier series. So there's plenty to talk about in that regard. Once we get to that episode, we'll do a podcast YouTube special where we're going to record our podcast through video too, and we're going to post it to be the exact same way that it sounds within the podcast, except for you're going to see me and Brandon's face while we're recording. Maybe we'll bring a guest in for that. Maybe we'll bring a couple guests in for that. Haven't decided yet. We'll work those things out when they come. But before we get started here on this channel for this episode, remember to give us a thumbs up. Remember to go hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so when these videos do pop up and we do have events coming up, you can be the first one to see it. Visit justareyes.com. That is the best way to see everything Justareyes Media, from Pod Hacks with me and my friend Yoni, and my little brother Jordy has joined in the fun a little bit here recently. And you also have How Do We Get Here podcast, both the YouTube side for both shows. Again, Pod Hacks is going to get a major revamp on the YouTube side coming up soon in November and December as I start to build towards those episodes that I'm going to put together for that. So the last episode left off, we talked about Fury. It's a big week. We talked about the Avengers. We talked about everything leading up to the first Avengers movie. And there's a lot of Iron Man talk. There was a Captain America talk. From here moving forward, you do have Iron Man 3, but you have Captain America kind of taking up the mantle as far as being the premier character in Phase 2 and Phase 3. When you have Captain America the Winter Soldier, you also have Captain America and Civil War as we kickstart Phase 3. We won't get into Civil War in this episode, but we will talk about Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Starting things off, though, you do have Thor the Dark World, which is Thor number 2, and this is probably the least liked of the Thors, probably one of the least liked movies in the MCU entirely. It's not a terrible movie, it's just not as good as the other 2 Thors, especially Ragnarok, probably the best of the group, and it's just not as good as some of the other shows that you have, the other movies. Like Thor Ragnarok again was great. The first one was okay, but it was a kind of introduction, saw some good things. Thor the Dark World is just, it's okay. I mean, it's good. It's an MCU movie, so they're all good. It's just not on par with the rest of the MCU. You do see here the introduction of the Ether. The Ether is the reality stone. So when they're talking about the Ether and how Jane Foster is infected with it, as you can see in this.
Touch her. Jane, are you all right? It's impossible.
The stone is more liquid and can move through people and through time and through things because it is a reality stone, because it can bend reality. So the Ether is introduced here. We're already starting to see some of the Infinity Stones right in the Avengers movie, the first one. You get to see the Mind Stone, which is in the scepter that Loki has. It looks blue, but then you break it down, it's a yellow stone. You also have the Tesseract, which introduces us to the Space Stone, which is an actual blue stone, so it's a blue cube. You saw that in the first Thor movie. Those do become the... well, you saw it... You didn't just see it there. You saw it in Captain America, the first one as well. The Tesseract kind of moves around, same with the Scepter. Into the Age of Ultron, you'll see it a little bit more. They are around. This is the first time, really, though, the Ether, they start talking about it as far as stones go. They give a great explanation in this scene.
Darkness, and it was called the Ether. While the other relics often appear as stones, the Ether is fluid and ever-changing. It changes matter into dark matter. It seeks out host bodies, drawing strength from their life force.
And that, though, the Dark World really isn't... Again, it's not a great movie, and there's not a lot to talk about. As far as the MCU goes, it's worth watching it. If you haven't watched them through in a timeline, you have to watch The Dark World because it's part of it. Just understand that movie's... I wouldn't say it's on par with the rest of the MCU, and a lot of people would agree with me there. But again, not a terrible movie. You still get to look at Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman, so I mean, it can't be all that bad. The next episode we talked about on the podcast was Guardians of the Galaxy, but according to Disney Plus and how they put their timeline, they snuck Iron Man 3 right in before the two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think it's splitting hairs. They kind of happen right at the same time. I think they just put Iron Man 3 so they can just do 2 movies and then the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. In Iron Man 3, I like this movie more than other people do. Same with Age of Ultron. I enjoy this movie a lot more than others do. If you listen to the episode, you know that Bryson and Brandon don't appreciate this movie as much as I did. Even in his notes, I'll look here. He said only 3 real updates in this movie. They're 3 pretty big updates. So Tony admits that he's having some anxiety because of New York.
Hey, I admit it. My fault. Sorry. I'm a piping hot mess. Been going on for a while. I haven't said anything. Nothing's been the same since New York.
And then you get to really see that he's not just kind of blowing smoke up Pepper's butt because it's what he's known to do. As he's sleeping and he's struggling with New York, and then in the middle of the night, Peppers tries to console him, and one of his suits attacks him. His suits are becoming out of hand. You start to see Tony not just unravel because of anxiety and stress, but you get to see him unravel in the fact that he's built a multitude of suits. Like, he's so afraid of the Earth not being protected in what he... Because all of the showboating and the self-absorbed attitude that he has, in reality, he really does care about who he is, where he's from, and the people around him. And because of this, he wants to protect them, and he builds like a ridiculous amount of suits, as you can see. To Ultron. This is what he was trying to do with Ultron, is not just build a bunch of suits. I know he has them blown up at the end of Iron Man 3 to say he's kind of over it, but not really. He just goes from building a bunch of suits to building a program that can control some of these suits, that he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He doesn't want to be in the middle of the fights anymore. Pepper's been trying to get him out of the fights for a long time. Tony just kind of wants to too, but he's still afraid that he has to. So maybe if he builds a program that'll do it for him. He doesn't know if Jarvis is quite ready for that yet. So he builds Ultron. He has Hulk, Bruce Banner help him in building Ultron without telling everyone else, and it leads to some issues. Before we get there, though, we have to talk about the Winter Soldier. And this movie leads directly to what comes up in Civil War. The PTSD in Iron Man 3, you need that to get to Ultron. You need Winter Soldier to get to Ultron. And you need all 3 of those movies to get to Civil War, the splitting and the fracturing of the Avengers and the end of the Avengers, and leading into what happens down the end towards the battle with Thanos. The Winter Soldier, you have Nick Fury finding out that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.H.I.E.L.D. is now what it says that it is. He thought he had a lot of control and he was involved in a lot of what was going on. Turns out not so much. He sends Captain America on a mission. During that mission, he sends Black Widow to get information because he's not sure. So Captain America was a little upset about the mission that he was sent on, but he does it because Captain America, he's a good soldier. Nick Fury and Black Widow not so ready to just give in to any mission they want to, so they go get information, they find that information, and then they start to piece things together, leading to Nick Fury being attacked in the middle of the street and then being pronounced dead. Find out a little bit later that that's not quite true. But it does start to make Captain America suspicious. You see this scene in the elevator where he's really starting to see it, because not only is he just hanging out in an elevator being Captain America, but you have people starting to crowd the elevator. You've seen people starting to sweat, and he knows that they're nervous because they know what they have to do.
What's the status of your contract? Nothing, so records.
They've basically been told that Nick Fury knew too much, you gotta get rid of him now. Captain America probably knows too much, you gotta get rid of him now as well, because they know that Nick Fury visited Captain America after he was attacked, before he was pronounced dead, because you had the Winter Soldier shoot down Nick Fury in Captain America's apartment. So now they know that he's got to have some sort of idea.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You see this scene here, which is one of the better scenes in the MCU.
Whoa, big guy. I just want you to know, Cap. It's impersonal!
Moving forward, they try to find some more answers. You have Black Widow, you have Falcon being introduced now, Anthony Mackie's character, who later obviously becomes Captain America, starting to try to find some answers. And Captain America and Nat go together to find this underground bunker that was in the same camp that Captain America was originally trained in and pulled from. They start to open up this computer program, and it ends up being Zola.
Rogers, Stephen, born 1918. Romanov, Natalia Alyanovna, born 1984.
It's some kind of recording.
I am not a recording, Fräulein. I may not be the man I was when the captain took me prisoner in 1945, but I am.
And this is big because Zola is he kind of infiltrates anything, and he does get blown up, but is really the end of him? I don't think so. You start to see him maybe a little bit later. You do have this scene in What If.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Romanov, Natalia Alyanovna, Barton Clinton Francis.
Francis? Really? How did I not know that?
It's a family name. After my Mima. Don't you worry about it.
It's almost an exact play-by-play of what happened, except for you have Black Widow with Captain America in the movie and Black Widow with Hawkeye in What If series. And What If series, very good, just ended. If you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out now too. It's on Disney+. There's a lot going on. And then you get to see that Captain America finds out that it's Bucky Barnes, his childhood friend, the guy he grew up with, that not only did he not die, but he was captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra and used basically as an assassin throughout history. They also find out here, it's very subtle and very fast, that they had Tony Stark's parents killed.
And when history did not cooperate, history was changed.
That's impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. would have stopped you.
Accidents will happen.
It's probably the Winter Soldier that did so. You see Winter Soldier's arm, and Captain America knows it at this point that his friend Bucky Barnes killed Tony Stark's parents. And again, that's going to come into play, especially when it comes to Civil War later. The other movies after this, you have kind of a buffer in between. If you're going off release dates, it went Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Winter Soldier, and then it went from Guardians of the Galaxy to Age of Ultron. Timeline-wise, though, Dark World actually came out before Iron Man 3. Then you had the Winter Soldier and both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, or both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then the Winter Soldier. They're all right there in that same time frame. Guardians of the Galaxy movies are one of my favorites. I don't know if they introduce as much. You do have the Power Stone being introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 with the green orb, the purple orb, right? And you do have this great scene with the Collector.
Then the universe exploded into existence, and the remnants of these systems were forged into concentrated ingots. Infinity Stones. These stones, it seems, can only be brandished by beings of extraordinary strength.
And these movies they're a lot of fun. What this did, especially the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, is that it took the MCU not just on Earth. You did have the other realm as far as where Thor came from in Asgard, but you really don't leave Earth until you go to Guardians of the Galaxy. You get to see the universe be opened up a lot more. Again, you also get to hear more about Thanos because you meet Gamora, who is the daughter of Thanos. You also get to meet Nebula, daughter of Thanos as well. Now, that's what it introduces you to. It introduces you to Thanos' daughters, Thanos' world, and a much bigger universe. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 introduces you to Ego, which is Peter Quill's dad. And the main part of that is that you get to see that he is a Celestial, and you get to see Celestials are in. Now, there's also little Easter eggs here and there throughout the movies, especially whenever they're traveling through the different universes. You get to see a scene with the Watchers hanging out with, I believe it's a scene with Stan Lee.
Hey, fellas. Hey, wait, where are you going? Hey, you were supposed to be my lift home. How will I get out of here? Hey, gee, I've got so many more stories to tell. Guys, gee.
There's more to it, but unless you really want to deep dive, again, we're not going to do long episodes here, so we're not going to do like a deep dive. There are shows that do that. I would love to be able to do that if I had more time to do so, but for this, we're giving you guys the bullet points. But there's so much more Easter eggs between those two. But they mostly introduce the Guardians of the Galaxy and the bigger world, and then you get to see the relationships between those in the Guardians of the Galaxy that lead to further events of them kind of splitting as well, similar to the Avengers. The Avengers don't stick together, the Guardians of the Galaxy don't stick together, and they all kind of find each other in fractions as we move on to Infinity War and Endgame. The last movie is Age of Ultron. Now, Age of Ultron is hated on for a lot of reasons that make sense, a lot of reasons that don't make sense. Marvelous backdrop. That's one of my favorite episodes. So it is the history of the MCU and how it came about. I do talk about how Kevin Feige, Jon Favreau, and then the Age of Ultron issue. Age of Ultron, again, some things I don't like. Listen to the episode if you want to know about more of why. But just know that this movie, was pivotal for the MCU. It really was. It doesn't get a lot of love that it should, but it is pivotal for the MCU. You have Vision, obviously, being created in this, and there's a lot of things that went into Vision being created and Ultron not winning. You do have Wanda Maximoff showing up, same with Quicksilver. You need Vision, you need Ultron, you need Wanda. The MCU kind of doesn't beat on without them. I mean, it could, but not in the same way. Obviously, you have the Wanda-Vision relationship. This is where it starts. You start off, you get to see this underground bunker that you got to see at the end. The Winter Soldier, they show this bunker start off. Age of Ultron, they're breaking into this place. While they're breaking in and seeing all this stuff, you're going to see Wanda mess with Tony Stark, you see.
I got eyes on the prize.
Ultron shows up, tells them what he's going to do. Tony Stark, Captain America have a falling out starting now because Tony Stark didn't go to Captain America and because Captain America doesn't approve, and now they're having this fight, and you start to see a little bit more of the fracturing between the two figureheads of the group. Like, you have other people that are big, but Captain America, Iron Man are the two leaders of this group, and now they're really, really starting not to see eye to eye because of the creation of Ultron. Luckily enough, they were able to steal the box that Ultron was going to use to create his own body from. Wanda, working for Vision at the time, finds out what Ultron's main plan is and objective is, takes the Hex off of the Doctor that is creating what is to become the Ultron Vision.
It will be better.
When everyone is dead?
That is not... The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
You're a madman.
There were more than a dozen extinction-level events before even the dinosaurs got theirs. When the Earth starts to settle, God throws a stone at it. And believe me, he's winding up. We have to evolve. There's no room for the weak.
And who decides who's weak?
Life. Life always designs. There's incoming. The Quinjet. We have to move.
That's not a problem.
She's able to pause the program.
Wait, guys!
Ultron's able to control her because he uses the staff that creates the Mind Stone, and that he was going to use that Mind Stone as well inside that body, similar to what they do to Vision. Now they were able to get the scepter with the Mind Stone, and they were able to get the container, luckily enough to make Vision and put Jarvis into Vision as opposed to Ultron, and that makes all the difference in the world. Again, as we see in the What If series, if Ultron wins, Wanda's not there. As you can see in the What If series, you'll notice that Wanda's not there. You get a Ultron that basically destroys everything because he becomes unstoppable. He gets that Mind Stone. He's already which is why you need Zola. Spoilers if you haven't seen What If yet. And without Vision, there's a lot that happens. You don't have WandaVision. You don't have that relationship that they build leading into Infinity Wars and the Endgame. The pain and the anger that Wanda has developed as a youth is soothed through Vision and then taken away and stripped from her 2-3 times, and that makes a huge difference in the MCU moving forward. Again, Age of Ultron, it's big for the MCU, and it's a lot bigger than people give it credit for. The critics, I get some of their complaints, I don't get all of them, but that is going to be doing it for this episode of Justareyes Media. There's so much more I want to talk. I'm so excited to keep moving forward in this series. I'm going to have my brother Bryson on here soon to help me talk about the MCU moving forward as well. And then I will get Brandon. He's finally switching schedules, so that we'll be back on a similar schedule where we'll be able to do more together. But I hope you guys enjoy this. Again, leave us some comments. Go to justareyes.com. You can always contact me there at any time. You can go to Instagram and reach me at Justareyes. You can go to our TikTok at HowDidWePod, or you can go to Instagram again at HowDidWePod. Go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram at HowDidWePod for the show, or at Justareyes for me, or you can go to our TikTok at HowDidWePod. We're working on a lot of things. Like, there's a lot. I'm so excited about what this channel can become. There's a lot going on here. I'm excited about the rest of this MCU series. Hope you guys enjoyed the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, leave us some comments. Let me know what you guys want to see moving forward. And talk to you real soon.